Hey guys, Louis here at Tech4 Health, and today I'm going to show you how to install the PureTech 8-stage reverse osmosis system. The kit comes with everything you need, and let's get started. You're going to begin with the smart faucet, running the threading through the cables provided, and you want to use this little coupler to hook up to the water line, which we'll show you in a bit. There are some adapters included in the kit. However, every plumbing is unique, and you may need some adapters for your own personal setup. We're going to start by threading the collar on the base of the smart faucet. Run the data cable through there and screw that in. We do recommend professional installation. However, if you are handy and have done plumbing and this type of thing before, you should be able to do this in 30 to 60 minutes. Once that is screwed into place, you're going to use the supplied coupling. Attach that to the little bit of hose that is connecting out of the faucet, and the white water line will go into there. These are also color-coded and labeled on the machine, which we'll show you as well, so you really can't go wrong. Next step is you want to have your pre-drilled hole. For this install, there was a soap dispenser we just removed. Otherwise, a 1-inch hole will be necessary. Feed your data cable and water line through the hole, set the faucet in place, and you're going to go underneath the sink and secure that. So now you have 2 washers included. For this install, we made the mistake of putting both washers on the bottom. However, it still worked just fine, but you should have 1 washer under the faucet above the sink and the other washer underneath the sink on top of this gray collar. However, we did it with 2 washers on the bottom and it still worked just fine. Next step you want to do is thread the nut onto the plastic collar. You want to tighten this by hand and make sure it's good and snug. Do not use any tools. You don't want to over tighten or break it, but you do want it snug so your faucet doesn't move when you use it. Now we've shut off the cold water line. Turn on your faucet to cold to make sure that the water is in fact off. I've loosened this with a wrench, and you're going to have a little residual water in your water line, so a towel will help with any mess. If your plumbing had Teflon tape on it, we recommend replacing it with some fresh. Wrap it in a clockwise motion, that way you're threading with the tape. Now again too, this is a 1/2-inch adapter, so that comes provided. You may have all different sizes of plumbing. You can either adapt this one, or you can buy another T connector, as these are known as long as you have a 3/8 output, which is that little socket right there. You're basically tapping into your water line. For this install, $7 worth of parts got the job done. They had a 5/8 hookup, and we needed an adapter. We couldn't find the same adapter for top and bottom, so again we bought a reducer and then a short cable which had a larger connection on one side and a smaller connection on the other. Always install the supplied rubber gaskets, and again you can try without the Teflon tape, but if you do find minor leaks, you should use the Teflon tape. And again too, wrap that around in a clockwise manner, keep it nice and neat. This will help ensure that you have a proper seal and a good fit when you do install it. So now we're going to take our water line, screw it onto the smaller fitting, and then that larger fitting is going to go into the supplied adapter. Again, a little bit of water will come out. This is totally normal. It's just what's left in your system. Now that we've enlarged the line from the smaller size to the larger size, we just need to finish off with the bottom connector, and then we'll reconnect the plumbing. Basically, you are just putting a little splitter in your water line so that you now have a takeoff for the machine to use. And it also has its own shut-off valve. Again, be conscious of these on or off. We'll show you again what's on and what's off, but basically by the time you're all said and done, this is how it's going to look. So now we have our bottom line connected, our top line connected, both adapters in place. And now it's going to be time to install the blue water line, which will go into our machine. Again, that is the open position. That is closed, on, and off. Typically, the valve points in the direction of water flow, but these adapters can all be different, so you can always double check. If you've installed everything and you find you don't have water flow, double check your connections. One might be shut off. We're going to go ahead and reattach this by hand at first so we don't strip any threads or do any damage. And then we're going to use the proper wrench, again supporting the line. For this install, there is plastic PVC plumbing. We don't want to crack or break anything, so just be gentle and do not over tighten. It's very important. And this is what it looks like. You have the original line, the adapter, the T connector, and then you have the takeoff, which is going to go into the machine. And the blue water hose will fit into this. And when this is activated in the on position, water will not only flow to your normal faucet, but it will flow into your reverse osmosis machine as well. Again, be conscious of if this was in the off position when you did your install, remember to turn it on or you won't have any water flow. This can also be used to shut off the water if you need to replace filters, or if you're going to be leaving for any extended period of time. We always recommend shutting the water off. And if you ever need to remove this hose, simply push in on that little gray ring and the hose will slide right off. So now we have the white water line from our faucet, and we have the blue water line that will be going in the machine. We've provided a cutting tool so that you don't have to have more cable than necessary and clutter up your under counter. So go ahead and trim that down to whatever size will suit your installation best. Now it's time for the drainage hose. This is a self-flushing machine, so it needs to be able to flush itself, and it needs a connection with the drain. So we're going to drill a 7/32 inch hole, and we're going to use the supplied bracketry that comes with that. This is basically going to allow your machine to flush itself and drain directly into your drain pipe. And again, it's coming with plastic clips and 2 nuts and bolts. You can tell the front from the back because the nut goes in the back. There is a little foam gasket, which is important to install to prevent any leaks, and that will go over the hole just like so. And then you will install that around your pipe like a collar, starting with hand threading. Of course, you don't want to use any power tools here. You don't want to break anything. In this case, it was easier to attack the pipe from the side or directly in the front, so we opted for the side. You may only have so much room, and then the drain hose will go in that way. So we're going to go ahead and remove the backing off of the foam gasket. That's going to cover the hole as such. And again, it's going to fit that way. And then the drainage line is going to get plugged in this way. So let's drill a small hole in the side of the pipe. Nice clean hole. And then we're going to go ahead and install our drain bracket. Now we used a skewer. It doesn't have to be fancy, but just something to keep the holes aligned while we're moving around with the bracket and the screws. It could very easily twist, and now we're not actually draining into the hole. So the backing plate has little hexagonal shape for the nut. It'll be self-tightening, so you won't need 2 hands to do it. You'll be able to just use 1 screwdriver on the front side, and it will hold that nut in place while you do your installation. You want to begin with unthreading everything and then putting it together by hand. Again, you don't want to over-tighten, you don't want to break or crack anything, and you want to tighten these side by side. A few turns on the left, a few turns on the right, a few turns on the left, and back and forth. You don't want to have one side tighter than the other, so we like to get these started by hand just so it sticks together. Again, maintaining our hole in the correct position, and then we'll go ahead and grab our screwdriver, a couple twists on one side, and then a couple twists on the other. And we're going to alternate this back and forth until it is tight. We want it snug and firm. We don't want it overly tight. It doesn't need much. It just needs to make a good seal around that foam gasket to make sure that when it's flushing itself, the water is going directly into the drainage pipe. So do not over tighten this and you'll be good. We're going to finish up by snugging this down. Again, tight, but not overly tight. Very important. Plug in the supplied drainage hose. Again, they click in. Double check it's in there snug. If you ever need to remove it, you just push and pop it out. Now we're going to install all the hoses by color in the back. They're also labeled, so you can't go wrong. Water line, drainage line. And again, as I said, you want to remove a line. You can simply push that in and it'll pop right out, which we'll show in a moment here. Now we have our smart faucet data cable. There's a little pin in that cable, so it can only go on one way. So be gentle with it. Spin it around until it seats itself, and then tighten the screw around that. Plug in your power, and that's it as far as your connections go. There's nothing else to hook up. And again, push in and pull out if you ever need to move your system or relocate it. Very easy to remove any of these pipes, and hoses are all the same. Push in and it pops right out. So now that we've got everything installed, we're going to go ahead and plug in the machine. You're going to hear the motor turn on and it's going to begin its flushing system. We recommend running this machine for about 20 minutes first, just to flush out any residual carbon. Peel off your protective plastic. It's almost showtime. And you're good to go. It's now going to go into its initial phase of startup. And your smart faucet is going to begin to read the total dissolved solids in your existing water. Now for filter changes, simply untwist and pop it out. Put the new one in and twist it again. Don't over tighten. Again, it'll click. You'll feel when it's there. And this is available with either our mineral filter or a carbon block post-filtration conditioner. We also have polypropylene cotton and pre-activated carbon as well. So make sure you contact us and use the correct filters in this machine. Generics will not work. Now, this is what your system will look like when using a non-mineral filter. Now, 17 TDS was the pre-dissolved solids, the total dissolved solids pre-filtration at this house, which is extremely low to begin with. You may see numbers as high as 200 to 400, depending on how bad your water is. But essentially, all the water is going to be filtered down to a base level of purity. Now, with our mineral filter, it'll look something like this. You're going to see a higher TDS reading because you now have dissolved mineral solids in your water. This isn't an indication of filtration. This is an indication of solids. And again, bear in mind the on and off switch. If water isn't flowing, double check that both of your lines are on. And away you go. The machine is going to start up. It's going to begin analyzing your water. Everything is connected. Turn that water line off when it comes time to change a filter. The pump will still run, and it will drain any residual water in your tank. This will prevent water from spilling out when you change your filter. So turn on the tap, let it run for 5 seconds, then unplug it. You've now purged most of the water in the machine. And you want to go ahead and get yourself a towel because there will be slight drops of water when you take out this filter. It is pressurized, and there is water in these filters as well. So have a towel handy to catch any water that might drop out of that. And you simply remove the old filter, place it down somewhere in a towel, and go ahead and grab yourself your new filter, be it mineral or otherwise. One plug, one turn clockwise, or I should say turn to the right. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey was the Boy Scout adage. So turn it to the right, clean up any water you may have spilled, tuck it back in your under counter, and you're good to go. So here's some quick tips. Always turn off the water at the line as well as the T connection. Don't over-tighten plumbing connections and filter cartridges. Inspect your machine for the first few days after each use just to make sure there's no leaks. Always use the correct size adapters to fit your unique plumbing. Plumbing is not universal. Replace filters when the indicator is lit. Failure to do so may damage your machine. It could back up, so always change your filter. Again, TDS is not an indication of filtration, only the water-soluble compounds. You're filtering over 1,000 contaminants with your machine, so don't pay too much attention to the TDS. Only install genuine filters. Generic filters are not compatible with our machine. Professional installation is in fact recommended, but if you're handy, you can do it. And if you have any questions, reach out to us at info@tech4health.ca, and we're always happy to help. And with that, thank you for purchasing your PureTech RO system. If you need any help, please reach out to us, and we'll see you again on the next one.